All right, Farmer Dar here. Getting ready to do some planting. I'm way behind this year, but I just want to show you where I'm at, maybe show you one type of planting today. All right, so first let's look at these seedlings that I got lined up. All right, taking a look at the seedlings that I've got developing, I have way more plants than I can possibly plant in my little garden and maybe even in the community garden, just owing to sheer amounts of time it would take to plant all these plants. So I'm going to be sharing some of these plants with my friends. Hopefully they'll enjoy them as well. In this first group I have the unknown peppers and a few tomatoes. Here the eggplant coming along so nicely. All these plants out here I think are fully hardened off now, so I think they're all ready to go in a garden here. Here are some more pepper starts. Some of them are poblano and some of them are just unknown. Got a nice large tomatillo plant there. Another group of tomatoes right here and right here. And over here some tomatoes and tomatillo, more tomatoes. As you can tell, I've just got way more tomatoes than I'll ever use. So some of these are to give away to friends. And then here I've got some more tomatillos, a few peppers, and a loose tomato. And there's that chamomile that I just keep meaning to put in with the onions, but I haven't done it yet. Maybe I'll do it today. Here's the Aldi greenhouse. It's still standing. It has been really helpful for the process of hardening off these plants this season. I can put the plants in there and they stay nice and warm, as well as they get just a little shade from the sun, so they're not hitting the full sun at the height of the day and getting burned. So they're doing pretty well with that. It has really held up to a lot of good winds. I have noticed one little critique. As I suspected, where these joints come together, they sometimes come loose, especially if it's not on a level ground and perfectly sturdy. If you bump them and jostle them, these here little corners will come out and you'll have a shelf collapse on you. So as long as you're mindful of the fragility of these shelves, I've found that this greenhouse has been really helpful and very affordable. I think now the only thing I would like to consider is, will it last more than one season? If this here little greenhouse can last multiple seasons and be used, I think it will turn out to be a very good deal. All right, now over to the garden plot. I've set up a little temporary table by the garden plot. It has the seeds I plan to put out today, as well as the plants that I'm hoping to plant this afternoon. So I've got 3 tomato varieties, and I also have plans to start beets and start carrots. In the first garden bed, it has a lot of calendula that volunteered from last year. I'm going to actually have to transplant out some of this calendula. I desperately want to keep these plants because I intend on making a nice salve with it. But I can't have the calendula all in here taking over, so I'm going to have to move some of those plants out. I have some pots for them, so they'll be just fabulous. Here I have a monstrous parsley plant. So I think I'm going to do a little harvest of this parsley early in the season, and I'm going to use the drying method to preserve some of this. I was gifted or bartered a food dehydrator from a good friend, J and K, and so I'm going to maybe go ahead and dry this and preserve this early in the season and share some of that with them, and that'll be wonderful. Now over here I have lettuce, and I have harvested so much lettuce today, as well as calendula up front here. And I have harvested so much lettuce today, and there's still plenty left. So these are in fact the salad days. Back here I got a calendula, calendula. All around the lettuce is a bunch of calendula. This is wonderful and lovely, but I'm going to go ahead and transplant some of that. Maybe not today, but eventually. So this is the first bed. The second bed, I have Brussels sprouts that I started, and a few of those plants are going very nicely. It's almost time for me to get some seeds started in there, and as you can see, it's also time to get in there and weed again. The Brussels sprouts, well, that's more experimental. I'm not so great at that. We'll see how it goes. Looks like I have a tomato plant volunteering there, so I'm going to probably let that go and just see what I get. In the first bed, I had a wonderful surprise. a whole batch of dill has volunteered. So I'm going to go ahead and harvest this dill and dehydrate it as well. And with the dehydrator that I was gifted by Jay and Kay. And I'm going to go ahead and share some of that dill with them. Katie makes a delicious ranch dressing, a vegan ranch dressing with vegan mayonnaise. And so that dill will be delicious in there. I've already put out a few tomatoes over here. And so you got tomatoes, one volunteer lettuce right there, and then some weeds in the middle, and some more calendula down there. I'll leave a little bit of calendula in because I love how it draws the pollinators. All right, time to start planting some tomatoes. My dog is a real trip when it comes to these beds. She likes to just jump in them and play, so early in the year I had to go ahead and develop a system to keep her out of them. I have chicken wire that goes around them, and I can roll that chicken wire back, work in the garden bed, and then quickly roll it back out and cover the plants and keep Luna out of the bed. Over here, I intend to put some tomatoes in here where I have some open spaces, and it looks like I'm going to have to make some open spaces too. All right, I think I'll start on this corner of the bed. I see room for a couple of tomato plants down here on the end. So a little trick I learned back when I worked in a nursery is that if the wind knocks your plants over, just go ahead and let them lay down on their sides until the wind's out of the way. You'll do less damage if you let them lay down instead of doing the picking up, laying down, picking up, laying down. All right, so I think I got room to poke 2 tomato plants in here without having to do any immediate transplants of calendula. I'm not really prepared to do that today. So I'm gonna stick 2 plants right here on this edge, kind of close, crowding into these other plants that I know I'm gonna remove. And then I'm gonna stick 1 more on the end over here. So I'm gonna get 3 in this corner. I got a good digging stick. And I dig it nice and deep. When I put these beds in, I added some vermiculite to improve drainage. And I believe it did a good job. Start by digging out 2 holes. And I'm digging these holes out with the intention of burying the tomatoes pretty deep. All right, I'm back in here now. I ran and got something that I had forgotten. I go ahead and I use the stick to loosen up the dirt below. It crumbles very nicely. I don't see that I've damaged too many worms. And then I grab my tomato plant and I take a look at it. Something volunteering in here, I'm not sure what it is, so I'm gonna pull it out. It's a weed. And I go ahead and I take off the bottom leaves on these tomatoes, because I'm going to bury these stems pretty deeply. good to have a clean cut. I took off a lot of leaves. I took 4 off the bottom of this one. I take the plant out. Oh, I just love the root system on this one. So I'm going to tickle these roots a little bit just to encourage them to unbundle. All right, I think I caught this one at just the right time. I'm going to plant this tomato plant in sideways and bend up the plant that's going to come above ground. So this whole stem is going to be below the dirt, and we're going to grow roots out of the stem there. Got to be careful bending it. You don't want to bend it so far that it breaks. Having said that, last year it was terrible. I was accidentally a little too rough with the tomato and the root ball fell right off. So I just stuck the tomato stem in with the root ball and it took. Now, I've seen a blossom end rot come around, so I go ahead and I add a little bit of this nature's, this organic bone meal. I'm trying to figure out what bone meal would be like that wasn't organic. That's the chemistry teacher in me. So I'm just gonna put about a tablespoon over the plant, work it into the soil above where the roots are, and that will hopefully leach down into the root system as it grows. Remember how gravity works here. All right, now my other one, this one's a little bigger, so I'm gonna take leaves off of it again. Same, I'm gonna take 4 leaves. And I just let those leaves fall right in. This is, not a noxious weed, so these leaves will just decay and add organic matter. All right, I think I'm gonna leave that much of the stem. I'm gonna work this a little bit more because it's slightly a bigger plant. There we go. Get this weed out of here. All right, flip it over. Again, it's a little root bound, so I'm gonna tickle these roots a little bit to encourage them to branch out. Oh, there's a gorgeous big worm in here. Gorgeous big worm. I just moved it over because I don't want to hurt it. I gotta dig it a little deeper. Sorry, little worm, not trying to disturb you, but I'm trying to disturb you a little bit. Alright. Big worm, Ducky.
Big worm?
Big worm.
I have a big bag of lettuce refrigerated. Giant Ziploc. Not sealed.
Okay, so I took all the plants into the greenhouse, and you can see how I've got it set up. 2 flats per shelf. There's room for 2 flats on the bottom. I think I have a 1.5 flat now. And 2 flats on this side. And I'm just gonna leave it open tonight because the temperatures are really mild, but I'm gonna keep it under this cover tomorrow during the day while I'm at work in case the sun's real bright. And then pull them out in the evening and let them get that late evening sun. And now I'm going to show you the planting. Alright, so here are the 3 plants I planted. Planted them deeply with some stem in the dirt, bending the tip of the plant upward in the case of these 2. This one here I was able to plant it deep enough that I could just plant it upright. About 3 or 4 inches of stem on these 2. is buried with the root ball, and that one about an inch of stem with the root ball. And they're planted with some bone meal, and I scattered a little straw from Luna's bedding just to prevent water droplets from splashing the soil and bringing disease back up on the tomato plants. When I get some more mulch, I'll put a nicer mulch down to help as the summer heat continues. All right, I did not do any parsley yet. I might still cut that and put it in the dehydrator tonight. Here are 2 more plants. All right, so tomatoes here and here. I was able to plant those upright without bending the stems and just planted it extra deep, and it worked very nicely. And then over here, I had to move some calendula plants to make room to put my tomatoes in. And I repotted the calendula plants in a planter. So you notice the sun's almost setting. It's another wonderful St. Louis sunset out here in the backyard. And so a lot of time has gone by, and I didn't spend all this time gardening. Actually, I got a visit from my daughter and my grandbaby, so that's lovely. I had to stop and take a break, and I got to hold my little grandbaby and feed a bottle and all that lovely stuff, and it's all just adorable. All right, so hey, thank you for watching my video this week. This week I just tried to plant a few tomatoes. I'm way behind. Next week I'm getting some wood delivered, and I am starting a big project. Stay tuned to see all the antics and failings that happen with that project. Have a wonderful week growing wherever you're growing, and we'll see you back here again on our next video at Queer Possible.